Monday Night Chat with Wong Chen.
Brought to you by the Member of Parliament for Subang.
Hello, welcome to Monday Night Chat episode 17. This is a more serious episode. We're going to talk about the Seafield Temple incident, and then we got the 120 questions, and then whatever that the team feels like putting in as third slot, they can do so. Hi, for Policy Monday this week, we're not going to really talk about policy, but we're going to try to explain to you the chronology and the facts behind Seafield Temple incident. We're shooting here in the Bilik Taklimat. This is a typical room where the members of parliament get a briefing. So I suppose it's appropriate for me to brief all of you what really happened on the Seafield Temple incident. The very first question we need to ask is, who are the players? The players are basically who owns the temple. The temple actually has a committee that is involved. Number two, who owns the land? It's actually used to be owned by Sime UEP as part of the Subang Jaya development. They sold it to a company called One City Development in 2007. After that, the One City, which is part of a group, was bought out by the Ayala Group, which is basically a Filipino conglomerate, the oldest Filipino corporation in existence. So ultimately, the owner is now Ayala Group. Okay. Now, the issue is who actually manages the temple, or who are the people really in charge. This is where things get a bit complicated. There are basically two groups. One is controlled by this Mr. Chalapa, and the other group is controlled by Mr. Nagaraju. Yeah, Mr. Chalapa, what we understand, used to be the chairman of the committee, and Nagaraju was the secretary. Yeah. So what happened is this temple actually went through a court case between the developer and the temple management. And after many years, in 2014, both Chalapa and Nagaraju, they were united back then, came to a settlement with the One City Development, and they agreed to get two things. First, 2 pieces of land as compensation and cash of 1.5 million. Yeah. In addition to that, one of the land was returned back and they got another 1 million. So they basically got a piece of land and 2.5 million. So on May 2017, after the agreement was settled in 2014, on May 2017, One City Development issued an eviction notice. At this point, the Nagaraja Group makes a U-turn on the legal settlement. That was in June 2017. And the reasoning that Nagaraju used is that the temple is very old and it's a historical thing and it's not just about compensation. Fast forward from 2017 to September 2018, the Shah Alam High Court orders that the temple be vacated based on the earlier settlement in 2014. So what happened then is in October 2018, the protesters gathered at the temple and asked for the eviction to stay, and that they're given until after Deepawali before any action should take place. And that, at that point, around that point, we actually received the office of my office, and also YB Michelle's office actually received a lot of complaints from the public, the Indian community, asking us to intervene and to help out. Our position is such. We note that while a lot of these Indian complaints and Indian constituents actually are from Subang Jaya constituency, the temple is actually outside the Subang Jaya constituency. It is actually under Mat Sabu, YB Mat Sabu, the Minister of Defence, and also YB Ganapati Rao. But YB Michelle and I had a discussion on the matter, and we said, look, whatever complaints we receive, we'll forward it to the Member of Parliament, and she'll forward it to the State Exco, who is Ganapati Rao, it's really their jurisdiction on the matter. I have spoken to Mat Sabu, of course, and I've also spoken to Watia Muti, the Minister for Unity, and they have informed us that they will take action. And, you know, as things turns out, the action wasn't fast enough. Yeah. So on the early morning of 26 November 2018, some gangsters, about 50 of them, allegedly sent in by the lawyers for the developer, attacked the temple, and resulting in injury to some of the temple people there, and also cars were burnt. And then in retaliation on the 26th night, leading to the 27th early morning of November, there were thousands of Indian devotees gathered there trying to protect the temple. But, you know, there were fracas and fighting, and then cars were burnt, and the fireman, Muhammad Adib, was severely injured. We're still not sure the cause of that, but there are conflicting versions on how he got his injury. But be it as it may, on the 27th of November in Parliament, members of Parliament gathered around and we discussed the issue, and we talked about trying to come out statements, and as a result, a lot of the ministers, in particular the Indian ministers, went to the temple. Some of the Malay ministers went along to make calls, to visit Adib and all that. So on the 28th, we finally got the Prime Minister, a group of us convinced the Prime Minister to actually make an announcement. So he did make an announcement on the 28th of November. And on the 29th, the day of this shooting, this is a Thursday, Muhyiddin as Home Minister and Dr. Mahathir as Prime Minister made their speeches in Parliament. So we're not sure what is going to happen in the next few days, but one thing for certain, Adib is improving, his health is improving, and I think things have calmed down a bit, and we actually ask people to remain calm and let this matter, which is really a dispute between the developer and the temple committee, to resolve by itself and not to make this into a religious or racial problem. Dr. Mahathir in particular has indicated that the rule of law will prevail, and that he asked that the police step in to do their job properly, and that the gang that went into the temple on the 26th to create all this problem, they will be charged, and whoever is behind it will be charged, and the rioters that retaliated on the 26th until the 27th early morning, causing damage and injury to Adib, they too will be charged. So basically, we ask the community to stay calm. The federal government is fully in charge. The state government under the Menteri Besar is trying to find a solution regarding the land dispute. We hope that this kind of incident must be contained very early on, and that nobody spread any more rumors. Let the activities of the police carry on. We as members of Parliament, we will of course hold the police and also the authorities accountable if need be. But for the time being, we ask everyone to remain calm and let them do their job. Okay, so that's it for Policy Monday this week. Okay, for Q&A in 120 seconds this week, we're going to do 5 questions as usual. Okay, first question. What do I think about the issue regarding the tampering of the Auditor General report on 1MDB? Firstly, I'm part of the PAC committee. Whoever is leaking out this kind of thing should stop doing so, because it is not professional and it is wrong. But since it's already out of the bag, the cat is out of the bag, so to speak, I would say that this tampering is, of course, very, very bad, and it should be fully investigated. Number 2, PT10 repayment to start at 2,000 ringgit salary at 2%, so that's basically 40 ringgit a month. I still think that it is not fair, because, life is difficult for people earning 2,000 a month. The government should revert back to the $4,000 plan that we had. Okay, I don't see how taxing people 40 bucks a month is going to help us improve our fiscal number anytime soon. Number 3, what's the issue of the Linus Caucus? Well, the good news is Linus Caucus has been formed and is up and running. And what we're doing now is we're asking the minister to give us a copy of the Linus committee review. Unless we see the review, the caucus really have nothing to work on. So please give us the review as soon as possible. Number 4, shall we sue Goldman Sachs or shall we negotiate to settle? I think we should always sue, but we should always get an option to settle. I mean, Goldman Sachs took about 500 plus million from us, US dollars. That's like 1.8 billion, 1.7 billion. The very least is they should pay, but under normal rules, you cheated us money, and you want us to just compensate back the same amount? That's ridiculous. You're going to pay for those damages. And I think we should sue them for about 2 to 3 billion at least. Yeah. Now, lastly, citizenship. A lot of citizenship cases are in our office. We got like 500 of them last term. I'm sure now we're building another 100 plus. For God's sake, the government must issue out citizenship to real Malaysians. A lot of these claims are from Indian community. They need to be given a break to resolve the citizenship issue. And next week, we'll talk about citizenship in a more detailed manner as part of Policy Monday. Okay, that's it for Q&A this week.